sponsored by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast rentals in Brooklyn, New York. To find out more, visit their website, jmrny.com. Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend, where we go behind the scenes and talk to the creators of independent entertainment. I'm Jason Godbey, and joining me via Zoom today, he is the founder and CEO of Stareable.com, and he was the first guest ever on the program, making his triumphant return to the podcast, Mr. Ajay Kishore. All right, welcome, Ajay.
Nice to be here.
Welcome back, my friend. It's been a while.
It really is. It's crazy to think. 2 years.
You were the first guest ever on the first show ever, and the show's changed a lot since then. I know you guys have made some updates at Stareable. We want to get right into it because I know you don't have a lot of time. But for those who don't know, just give me a little bit of background on Stareable and kind of what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. So we started out really as a platform for web series creators, really focusing on how to give them tools around growing and monetizing their online audience. And over time realized that one of the things that was really missing in the web series world was the opportunity to connect these amazingly talented digital creators with mainstream industry. So getting the conversations they need to, take that next step in their career, that path that Broad City, High Maintenance, Insecure all took, excuse me. And so really landed on the idea of using a festival to connect those indie and mainstream worlds. And so over the past 3 years, I've really built it up into one of the main indie TV and web series festivals in the country.
You guys have a new fest coming up shortly here. I know that you've done this as year 3, I believe, that we're into. I've been there for year 1 and year 2, and they've been growing steadily. So it kind of sucks that we got hit with a pandemic, right? When everybody was on a roll. But it's, you guys are a virtual platform. You deal with series in the virtual world, so it's kind of appropriate that you can go digital for this time around. So give me a little bit what are you guys doing this year? How is it different? What are you guys doing for creators, and what can audiences expect who want to catch it online?
Traditionally, the festival has been a 2.5-day physical event, always been in New York City. And what we've done is really build a pretty jam-packed schedule of screenings and workshops and panels, social events, all around celebrating the creativity that's going on in the web series and indie TV world, but also creating opportunities for creators to learn how to be more effective in their careers and thinking about how to evolve and be more effective at their craft. And so what we've tried to do is really translate that experience into a virtual festival. So this year it's going to be spread out over a longer period. It'll be 5 days, October 14th to 18th. And, we know that people don't want to sit at their computer for 8 to 10 hours a day. We're already doing that so much for our day jobs and things like that, right? And so it's going to be a little bit more spread out, the programming. So a handful of panels, a handful of workshops, the screenings that you can screen at any time, right? Really leveraging the fact that people can make the most of their day as we're all kind of quarantining at home. But then thinking about how do we create live conversations? So talkbacks around the screenings, those are live experiences. Conversations, the panel conversations, offering opportunities for people that are attending the festival virtually to still ask questions of the panelists, giving them the opportunity to really talk to people that are at the highest echelons of the industry and getting that sort of organic conversation. There's something very magical about a physical festival, and obviously there's no getting around that, but we are also trying to think about what are the best ways to leverage the fact that this is virtual. So thinking through how do we make this more digestible for folks that are otherwise going to be at their jobs? How are we going to make this accessible to a bigger audience? So dropping ticket prices, broadening it beyond just folks that are able to make it for a weekend in New York City during the summer, to think about it as more of like a global event, right? And so I think it's going to be a really fun and interesting experience to put this together this year.
That's great. In the past couple of years, when I thought Stareable was really a very creator-focused fest, it was very industry-focused. So I like that you guys are kind of broadening the reach, and hopefully getting some more fans, involved that want to see this kind of new indie content, because ultimately creators need eyeballs on their work. And it's great to have and maybe get some feedback on that work from fans, or get some positive buzz going around whatever their project is. You guys have been great in terms of always having great industry panels and things like that. Tell me about some, because I know you have some panels planned. Can you tell me about some of the panel lineups and what you got in store for creators this year?
Yeah, for sure. So we're doing some conversations on the online comedy landscape and how that's really evolved over the last couple of years, bringing in people that used to run Comedy Central, that run some of the biggest comedy studios in the country, that are YouTubers with several million subscribers, to talk about their experience and allow that to be a learning opportunity for the creator audience. We're doing conversations around narrative storytelling as activism, and how art and storytelling can really influence how we perceive institutions and society, and the ways in which we can counteract how that's had a relatively pernicious effect on what's going on day to day in 2020, what we're seeing constantly. So bringing in Shannon Lee, who's the daughter of Bruce Lee, the executive producer of Warrior on Cinemax, along with some other pretty amazing guests. A conversation on the future of representation. A lot of creators want to understand, how do I get a manager? How do I get an agent? So bringing in some leading agents from UTA, some of the heads of digital at some major management companies, to talk about where they see that industry going, how they recruit their clients, where they think there are opportunities for talent to be discovered. One of the things we always try and do is bring in partners that have tools and hardware for digital creators, and let them use that as an educational opportunity, right? Everyone's going to be editing video, so what are the tools that you need in order to be more effective and efficient at that? So bringing in sponsored partners that can really offer classes, so that you can be really, really efficient in the next show that you create. And then the rest is really around that the stuff that festivals are all about. It's the screenings, it's the talkbacks, it's the social events that we're going to try and put together in a virtual first way.
Given that this is a virtual fest, and given that people unfortunately can't shake hands and pass business cards and stuff like that, what can creators really take away from this, and how can they kind of connect with each other? I know you talked about being able to have side conversations. Is there a way because I know that every year you've had a pitch competition. Are you going to be doing that again this year?
Yeah, so pitch competition is always one of my favorite events. It's a really fun opportunity to see. So we run a submissions process, and then we choose finalists, and they pitch. They get 90 seconds apiece to pitch live to a panel of industry judges, and then we crown a winner. And so we're going to be doing that same exact thing this year. It's always, I think, a real learning experience to see how other people approach that pitching thing. It's something that everyone has to do in their day-to-day, but everyone has a very distinct way of doing it, and everyone, I think, can get better. So I always feel like I learn something from it as I watch it. So we're 100% going to be doing that. And then, so we are using a platform called Shindig to host the festival this year. And the reason that we really standardized on that is because we didn't want this to be a sort of passive festival where you're just sitting and consuming video, right? There are a lot of really fun interactions that happen while you're standing in line for coffee or waiting to grab a drink at the happy hour, or as you're leaving the building and you bump into someone else because you're both trying to figure out where to go get lunch, right? And so we want to be able to recreate those sorts of natural interactions. And so what Shindig allows you to do is kind of tap the person sitting next to you on the shoulder in a virtual way and have a video chat with them. And maybe it's about your individual projects. Maybe it's about the panel that you're sitting virtually about to watch. Maybe it's about something else, but it allows you to, recreate that sort of like campus, summer camp type atmosphere that is such an amazing part of the festival when we hold it physically.
I think that's going to be things like that are I think the biggest challenge for these virtual fests, because, I've been a part of some and I've had several people on the show talk about them. You might be the first one to kind of talk about using this type of platform to connect people, which is, let's face it, that's why you go to festivals. It's nice to see your work on a big screen, but ultimately you want to make, connections and meet a producer, meet an agent or somebody like that. Do you feel like going forward, because the future is so uncertain, do you feel like that even if fests do come back in a physical way, that we're still going to need a virtual aspect? Like, is this enhancing the experience somehow? Like, is this a silver lining, in other words, to some of the stuff?
I think that's a great question. I do think there's a silver lining in that, it's certainly hard for people to carve out the time and deal with the expense to travel to New York City and attend a festival. Our tickets have always been super affordable, but at the same time, you still need to buy a plane ticket, you still need to get a hotel, you still need to do all the rest. And so opening the doors to everything that happens at a festival to the people that otherwise wouldn't be able to attend for so many different reasons, I think is really meaningful and valuable. And so I think the path forward is something that is probably more of a hybrid approach, where you still want to have that sort of, if anything, I think this year has taught us to really value the opportunity to get together and have physical conversations face to face, be able to shake someone's hand, clink glasses, like clap in a screening room. But I think there's also an opportunity to broaden out the reach and think about, okay, well, we've spent a year putting together like really strong panels and conversations and screening blocks. Like, how do we make sure that this is getting in front of the audience that can really benefit from it, right? And so I think that's probably how future versions of this look.
Probably a virtue where a lot more things, even if they are in person, are live streamed. I know that you guys did some of that the first year you were in business. And then, maybe make it available for people who are on the Stareable platform, sign in with this and at a discounted rate, or, things like that. One thing, this whole thing, like, you're absolutely right. It has made us wistful and nostalgic for personal interaction, but it's also made us very creative and very resourceful,
Yes.
Because we've had to come up with all of these problem solving type solutions for things that, we maybe never thought of before. Like, yeah, sometimes it's hard to get a ticket and, get on a plane and go to a festival, but then it's like, you don't have a choice. What are we all going to do? So, hopefully part of talks like this that I'm having with different festival creators will help people who are doing festivals kind of get ideas and like you're talking about this platform. I was not familiar with it, so maybe that'll help somebody else with their festival. In terms of going forward with the evolution of Stareable and the fest, because by the time this airs, it'll be too late for people to all the submissions are in. But what advice would you have for people, because you've seen a lot of web series at this point after 3 years of doing this? What advice would you give creators going forward if they want to work in digital series?
The piece of advice that I really truly believe in is, you want to make the thing that is very specific to you, the story that you feel like you, more than anyone else, have the right to tell, right? And so I think that sometimes and we all, I think, fall into this trap. We want to make something that's very easily digestible, right? Broad city for X, high maintenance for Y. But I think what I would encourage everyone to take a step back and say is more about, well, before Broad City, there was not a show on television about two young millennial women who were focused on female friendship, sex positive, trying to figure out their careers. And that's the beauty of that show, is that you had not seen that perspective before, right? So what is your perspective that in a similar sort of way is going to like have been the first time people see that, right? So that I think is, I wish there were an easier answer, but I think that's the reality of it, is like, you really want for folks to, I think, dig deep and tell the thing that's really meaningful to them, not shoehorn it into what they think the industry is like trying to buy. Because I think that kind of waters down what eventually gets produced.
Also, the industry often doesn't know what it's trying to buy until they see it, So maybe, if there were a way to boil down that statement, it would be like, the more kind of personal, the more original. Because, people want to see original stuff. That's what I hear all the time. Oh, we just want good stories. We just want original stories. Well, it's really hard to determine what's good and what's original. So you have to have something that you really believe in if you're going to put the effort into making a pilot or something like that. But, maybe the key to that originality is make it unique to you, is what you're saying. For this festival, do you think that, what do you expect people to kind of walk away from it? Is there is there a theme, or is there a kind of mission for it?
I think the theme continues to be the same that it is every year. It's really about celebrating the creativity that's coming out of this community and elevating these voices that are, deserving of so much attention and recognition. Something that's always been core to the company and the festival is this idea of underrepresentation and how we can help elevate, communities that are otherwise not getting their fair share of opportunities within the industry. And so whether that's, women filmmakers, the LGBT plus community, people of color, that list goes on. It's really about how do we help celebrate? How do we help get them the conversations that they need? How do we help this broader, greater community have the tools and the resources that they need so that, they can create this art and put it out into the world?
Fantastic. And for those who want to buy tickets or want to know more about Stareable, where can they find you guys on the web?
Yeah, for sure. So Stareable Fest tickets, easiest place to go to, festival.stareable.com. Our main platform, stareable.com. And we're all over social and everywhere else.
All right. I know you got a heart out, so I'm going to let you go. But Ajay, great having you back. Anytime you guys want to do something, let me know. We'll have you back on the show, and we'll see if we can also cover the fest this year as best we can. But it was great having you back, man. It's great to see you.
Same. Glad to hear things are going well. Congratulations on 2 years of the podcast. It's amazing.
2 years, over 100 episodes, man, since you've been here. But you were the guy who started it all, so I owe you a lot. Thanks so much.
I'm super flattered. Stay safe.
You too, my friend. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go, but good luck with the festival, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Perfect.
And that's all the time we have for you today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, including our movie reviews, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. I'd like to thank JMR Rentals for sponsoring this episode. And, of course, I want to thank Ajay Kishore for being my guest today. And for Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.